Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be testing and reviewing some woodworking tools and accessories from BANGGOOD. So I got some boxes here with some stuff that they've sent me. But the question is, are they any good? Are they really worth investing in? So that is what we're going to try to figure out today. Now, I'm just going to be honest up front and say that this video is sponsored by BANGGOOD. However, in the first email that they sent me, when I replied to them, I said, I'm interested in doing a video, but I am going to have to be completely honest in my review. And they accepted that. So if I think that a product sucks, then I have permission to say that I think it sucks. Now, let us open some boxes. I'm actually not entirely sure what's in these boxes. It's almost like Christmas. Okay, so this looks like a ruler or a square. Let's open the next box. Okay, this is a router plane. Pretty heavy, feels very solid. Now let's open it up. I am actually kind of surprised because it feels like very high quality. Feels very solid. Okay, next box. This looks like a thin strip jig. Okay, so it did fit the DeWalt miter saw. Luckily, I would guess it's pretty universal, and you can also adjust the height on these. So we're gonna have a closer look at that afterwards. Let's open some more boxes. This one says Pro Aluminum Pocket Hole Jig. Pocket hole jig. I've actually never ever in my entire life cut a pocket hole before. Okay, so we have the pocket hole jig, have a bit, and then we have the drill bit, of course. Here we have the actually miter gauge. This is for the table saw. This goes on top here. Okay, so that was just a first impression, a very quick look. Now I'm going to take some time to test these and then come back later with a closer review. There is one box that hasn't arrived yet because they were sending me 6 things and there is only 5 here. So I'm going to have to wait for one more thing, but let me just have a quick test of these tools. First impression, pretty good. Most of them feel very solid, very high quality, and except for this ruler, which doesn't seem to be perfectly square, but of course I'm going to have to test this a little bit closer. The first tool we're going to have a look at is the thin strip jig. So cutting strips like this, where you have the thin strip between the fence and the saw blade, is not very safe and usually does not give a great result. So with the thin strip jig, I can move the board up against the wheel on the jig, then set the thickness that I want on the strip and make the cut. Now that I've set the thickness, I can just move the fence over till the board hits the wheel again, and I get the exact same thickness on the next strip. The sliders that go in the slot of the table saw were a little bit hard to align. Other than that, everything looked very good. This is definitely an accessory that I will use every time I'm cutting thin strips. So this will definitely be a handy little thing to have in the shop. And since we're already at the table saw, we can have a look at the miter gauge. First off, I adjusted the little knobs until I had a nice fit without any wiggle. So there are these small knobs on the side that you can adjust in and out, and there were 4 in total. There were also a couple of stop blocks, and you can extend the fence up till 1200 millimeters, and there is a stop block at the end as well. The miter gauge can of course be turned, and it clicks into place at 22.5 and 45 degrees, as well as at 0 degrees. And it can go all the way up to 60 degrees. So the miter gauge is perfect for cutting something like a half lap joint, but also for straight cuts. And based on this one cut, this miter gauge seemed to be really accurate. Speaking of half lap joints, the router plane is a perfect tool for cleaning up half lap joints. Once again,
I'm very impressed by this one. I found out that it's actually a Cat's Moses router plane, so that's for sure a good stamp to have on any woodworking tool. So this is a high-end professional hand tool, and I am very impressed. There was also this fence that you could use, which will be helpful when cutting rabbets or grooves or dados. I noticed pretty quickly that you have to take very small bites in order to get a good result. And now for the square mystery. I checked the square with one of my speed squares, and you can see there is a gap at the top. There is some light coming through at the top and not at the bottom. So I checked with some of my other squares, and now there was not a gap. It looked a whole lot better, and after doing the line test on a board with two parallel sides, the pencil lines lined up, so the conclusion is that my speed square is out of square, while the BANGGOOD square looks to be pretty perfect. For the pocket hole jig, I started by setting the depth of the depth stop according to the thickness of the board I'm using. Then I also had to set the height of this guide, and then I could start drilling. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the drill bit itself was not very sharp. I had to put quite a lot of pressure on it to get it to the bottom. Other than that, it was very easy to use, and here is my first ever pocket hole. You can also take off the guide and clamp it onto a board, so you don't need to use the entire jig, which is very helpful because you won't always be able to use the whole jig.
So the final woodworking tool that I got was this router lift. So these of course can be fastened to a workbench. I'm gonna get this top flush with the top of the workbench, and then you're gonna fasten the router in here. Now, unfortunately, I made the mistake of getting the wrong size of the router lift. So I told them that I needed 65 millimeters, but in fact I should have gotten the 69 millimeter router lift. So unfortunately this doesn't fit, but hopefully we'll sort it out. Because my plan with this one is to, in one of my next videos, I'm going to build a multifunctional workbench, and I would love to incorporate this into that workbench. Because it feels very high quality, very solid, it's pretty heavy, and we have different accessories. So got a few different of these insert plates that you just fasten with magnets, so for different sized router bits. And then of course you want to use this tool to lower or raise the router. So I can't wait to use this and to have it in my new multifunctional workbench.
So are BANGGOOD woodworking tools worth investing in? I would say yes, 100%. They are high quality, high-end products for, I wouldn't say cheap, but a fairly reasonable price. Of course, I haven't tested the longevity of these, so I don't know if they are going to live up to the positive first impression, but I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. And right now there is a big sale on all of these products, and you can check that out by going to the links in the description. So thank you to BANGGOOD for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching.